back to her. "I'm going on assignment, Kenley. I'll be working the entire time. It's not as if this is a vacation," I answered absently. "It's not a funeral either, Tal." She rolled her large brown eyes. Kenley knew about Penny. It seemed to be the only thing anyone talked about anymore. But like everyone associated with toxic, she didn't understand why I grieved for a traitor. Sometimes I didn't either. "Right, I guess you have a point," I mumbled, gripping a shirt so tightly the skin over my knuckles turned as white as the fabric. Kenley did have a point. Except, while it wasn't a funeral I'd be attending, I was in mourning. I glanced at the communicator sitting on my bedside table, 3:12 p.m. I hugged myself to still the tremors starting in my limbs. Penny had been dead for just over 10 hours. The memory of Penny, pale and gaunt, in the courtroom on the day of her sentencing haunted my dreams. I hated remembering her that way. When we'd first met, Penny was vivacious and carefree. I tried to concentrate on that version of my former best friend, so full of life. Thinking about the fun we'd had together and how much she meant to me, I could almost block out the painful memories of the last time I saw her. Almost. "It's okay to miss her," Kenley said, startling me out of my reverie once again. "Huh? I can tell you're hurting, Tal. It's because of her, right?" Kenley rarely said Penny's name, if she mentioned her at all. I preferred it that way. I couldn't stand the feelings that emanated from people when they thought about Penny. Some hated her, some felt sorry for her, and worst of all, a lot felt sorry for me. I didn't want anyone's sympathy. "I don't want to talk about her," I replied, more harshly than I intended. I knew Kenley was only trying to help, but I could feel her pity, and it made irrational anger bubble up in my stomach. Kenley paled. "Right. I'm sorry." She turned away to hide her hurt feelings. The overload of emotions that I was already experiencing left no room for shame at the way I'd spoken to her.
"You ready? Dad will be back soon,"
a deep voice called from my sitting room. I looked up from the open suitcase that I had yet to actually pack. Donovan McDonough's blonde head peeked through the open doorway. His bright blue eyes darkened as he took in my black pants, black sweater, and even blacker mood. Sympathy slipped through his mental barriers, washing over me in a cool embrace. I couldn't meet his gaze. "Does it look like I'm ready?" I snapped, gesturing to the clothes strewn across my burgundy comforter.
"What can I do to help?"
Donovan asked, lightening his tone. I sighed. First Kenley, now Donovan. I needed to get it together, or I wasn't going to have any friends left. They weren't the source of my irritation. In actuality, I wasn't at all sure who I was really mad at, but I had plenty of options. Penny for lying, Mac for taking pleasure in extinguishing the life of another human being, or myself for being too trusting and weak. "Just promise me that you'll make sure Kenley is ready for her placement exams," I replied, glancing to where the younger girl stood in my closet, still studying my wardrobe.
"Don't worry, Kenley. You can count on me,"
he called, pitching his voice so she'd be sure to hear.
"I'm not as good as Tal, but I'll do my best."
Kenley's face flushed as she basked in his attention. "God, don't let her get distracted," I prayed. "Thanks, Donovan," she mumbled, studying the plush carpeting beneath her feet, too shy to meet his eyes. Donovan had been helping me since I began coaching Kenley, but he still made her nervous.
"Kenley, I think my mom made lunch. Why don't you go get started while I help Tal finish packing?"
Donovan suggested. Kenley nodded jerkily as she scurried from my bedroom.
"How you doing?"
Donovan asked once we were alone. How was I doing? My best friend had just been executed. I wasn't allowed to mourn her death openly, and I was so on edge that I rarely knew which way was up. I was doing just peachy, but I didn't say any of that. "I've been better," I answered instead, finally starting to jam the piles of clothes from my bed into the empty suitcase.
"Maybe now you can start to put this behind you,"
Donovan mentally sent. He made his way to my side. His hand hovered over my shoulder for a brief moment before falling to his side. Instead of touching me, he busied his hands placing several pairs of black pants into my bag. "I hope so," I sent back, refusing to meet his eyes. If I saw the concerned expression that he surely wore, the waterworks would be unavoidable. Since Penny's sentencing, Donovan became a constant fixture in my life.